Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's book club session where we will be going through the book The Psychology of Money by Morgan House. And I'll be getting one of our members also sharing what is it that they were able to learn through the book. But I'm really excited to see that all of you have joined us. So let me know that you can see me, you can hear me. Drop in the chat between 1 and 10. How is the audio? How is the visual? We are good to go. I'll be happy to know. And on top of that, I'll be happy if you can share with us where are you joining us from? Yeah, it's always good to see the wide array of how far we are able to reach out. I know this was an open session. You can share it with your friends, with your colleagues, so that they can be able to be part of this conversation. As I said, this is a conversation around the book, The Psychology of Money. This has been the book that we chose as a career Ascent Club to look into. And we'll dive straight into it. I'll say this. Why is this book important? When I went through it, I came up with two main things. Number one, it emphasized that money decisions are driven more by psychology than the spreadsheet or you doing the calculation, budgeting, and all that. If you're able to sort out the psychology bit of it, the rest can become easy. And the other thing is, wealth is not equals to income. When you think about your wealth, it's more about your behaviors, how patient you are, and the perspective that you take. And finally, this idea of income or money, it sets the stage for personal growth and career growth altogether. So let me check so far who is here with us. I haven't seen any comments so far. So kindly comment. Are you ready? Yeah, so we can start there. So before we are good, I can see, yeah, now they're coming in. Vincent is saying we can hear you loud and clear and see you well on YouTube. Joining in from Rironi, Karibu Sana, Vincent. So I will jump straight to just our conversation with one of our members, and that is Linda. How are you, Linda?
I'm very fine. How are you today?
I'm very, very fine. Thank you for raising your hand as when I said I would need someone maybe to share their insights, what they got from the book. I really appreciate that. So I'll give you just a chance. First of all, you can introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, what you're looking out for. You never know what networks you might get from the platform. And then we can then dive into what would you say were your like key takeaways or what you learned from the book.
Yeah, so like Daniel said, my name is Linda Dirango. I was in the banking sector for the last 11 years. And I think this book really makes sense right now after being in a place where you see people making money and you wonder, how are people making this much money? So
Mhm,
I kind of got to understand. At the
mhm,
moment, I'm looking to doing virtual assistants. I just want the freedom of being able to control my time, being at
mhm,
home and being able to make money, spending time with my family. I have young kids. So
mhm,
yeah, that is what I'm looking at. I have been trying like the whole since I left work. That is what I've
mhm,
been doing, learning about virtual assistants. And I thought I really wanted to go back to the office and the NGO world, but I don't
mhm.
think so anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting, interesting. So maybe just to dive in straight, maybe you can share with us generally as you went through the book, what you learned, what are some of the insights. I will also share what are some of the key pillars that stood out for me, and then from there we can maybe have a conversation around that.
So when I was reading the book, I realized that money is not about intelligence. People who make money are not the smartest people, or the people who got A's, or the people uh, who are the most intelligent in school. Most of the
Mhm,
people who made money is because of the discipline that they had, the compounding effects. Like Buffett, when he started making money at the age of 10, So it was compounding over the years. And like the book said, he made most of his money after 65. Or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, most of his money he made after 65. So it was a combination of discipline and never giving up. He really did not pull out whenever there was recession. He was consistent in investing throughout, and he was diverse. Like his investment was very diverse. He invested in different areas of his life. Now he can sit down and make decisions about what he wants to do, wherever he wants to go, however he wants to live, without anyone deciding. Even sits down and gives advice. And what I've really come to this to realize with these rich people, or the people who make money, they're not stingy with information. They're not stingy about how they made the money. They're very
Mm-hmm.
generous. At the end of the day, I think it's the people who are being told what they do after what they've been given the information. Whatever you do with the information is what matters. Because at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, maybe you decide that you want to make money, but you hear stories and then you just sit on this information and you continue talking about it over the years, but you never do anything about this information that you make. The book talks about saving even $1 a day. This will compound
Mm-hmm.
after a long time. With consistency and discipline, you never give up on that. At the end of the day, when it matters, the money will have made sense. That dollar that you look at it and you think this does not make any sense right now, after a very long time, it will make a lot of sense. I also realized, like when I was reading the book, is that
Mm-hmm.
decisions that we make about finances is not usually is mostly emotional and what you've gone through. Like me during the COVID period, I was working, like it was normal for me. I didn't really think about, because most people lost their jobs then, most people were laid off, businesses were going down. But for me, nothing really changed financially. So when you talk to a person who was going through the financial hard times during the COVID period, the way they will invest or the way they will think about money then, and people
Mm-hmm.
like us who are still working and going through life normally, it will not be the same. Us guys just lived through salary the whole time. The salary was not reduced. We went to work from 8 to 5, rather 9 to 4. Only the times changed, but the money did not change. So the person who really went through that financial strain during that time, if you talk to them right now about money, it's totally different, because now that person already knows how it feels to lose money, or the inconsistencies of not having a constant pay during the hard times. But the people who lived through, okay, nini nini, you don't really think about, this might happen, or being laid off is a chance for you. So the way people like that will invest, and the people who got laid off and have gotten another chance will invest, is totally different. Another thing I realized is that when us guys were growing up, our parents really thought that investment was buying land.
Yeah.
So you saw them buying land, you've seen them having land and sitting there. But when you look at it, personally for me, I don't think I would invest in land, because these people, they just bought the land, it stayed there. And right now, when they need the liquid cash, they are not able to offset these assets. So the way
Yeah.
they thought about investment, and the way us guys, or rather my generation, thinks about assets is different. Because me, when I'd probably want quick money, I'd think of money markets, because if I want quick cash, I'd go to the money markets and withdraw. For them,
Yeah.
it's thinking about buyers, thinking about sellers, thinking about lawyers. So it's totally different from what how we think about money and how
Mm-hmm.
they think about money. Another lesson that I got was the role of luck and risk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Success is usually very unseen, and luck determines a lot of things. Again, when I go back to COVID, a lot of
Yeah.
people made a lot of money by selling masks. At that point, before then, of course, masks were being sold, but
Yeah.
it was not a big deal. Like, it was not a business idea that you could leave your work and decide you're going to buy masks. But people cashed in a lot during the COVID period. So the timing is also varies when it comes to investments. So I
Mm.
think that also made me see the importance of luck in investments and being wealthy. Another thing, another lesson was
Yeah.
the lesson of having enough. One of the lessons that we had when we were having a coaching session between you and I, you
Mm.
asked me how much is enough, and you asked me how much would I want to get paid, and I will say that this is enough. I do not want to go higher than this, or I would not want to kill myself doing the work that I'm doing so that I can get more. And reading
Mm.
this book, I really thought, like, that really makes a lot of sense. We all need to know what our enough is, because
Mm.
once you get to know what your enough is, you will not suffer getting to shift the goalposts all the time. After you've gotten to your 200 as your enough, you think, this is not enough. I need to work harder to get to 300. I need to get harder to get to 400. And then the more, especially if you're employed, the higher you go, of course, the more the stress becomes. And the more the
Mm.
stress becomes, you lose yourself working for this organization, because the time is no longer yours. Your money will be there, but you no longer have the time to spend with your family. You no longer have time to even take care of yourself, even the simplest things as maybe going on a trip, because now your role in the organization becomes more important, and
Mm.
that you cannot be able just to decide, I want to go on a holiday, or I want to, it's the organization that decides when you're going to go for your holiday or when you're going to go for your leave. So we need to know the importance of what is enough, or how much you want to get there. The other one is the compounding effect. I think if you start investing early, okay, it's never too late to invest, or it's never too late to make your money. So when you start and you get to that point that your money does not decide, or rather does not decide your time, you can get to that freedom that I can sleep to this time, or I can decide this is the job I want. You can decide if you have been investing enough and you have the money that can cater for you. So you can decide your freedom, you can decide for your time, you can decide, I want to take this job. Like, when you're laid off, you do not have to sit down and think whatever job comes, you will take it because I need the job.
Mm.
You can actually dictate what you want, the salary that you want, and how far you are willing to go. So that is the beauty of investment and surviving in this economy. So I really liked this book. I enjoyed seeing how wealth grows,
Mm.
and the opportunities that we have to make these decisions for ourselves. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah,
Fan-
my key takeaways was that money is very emotional,
mm.
and that behavior matters more than knowledge.
Yeah, yeah, that is quite powerful. I think you have almost summarized most of the points that I'd put across for the book. But maybe two, three things that stand out, especially when you talked about money is emotional, and most of the decision about money we make them from an emotional point of view, and then we try to justify it with logic. I remember one incident. That really changed how I look at money personally. Back in 2000 and is it six? Yeah, 2006, 2007. I was in campus, but my older brother had was working, and he happened to have gotten into business, transporting things to Rwanda, and he was killing it. He was making some good money. Then the post-election period came, 207, 209, and they were no longer transporting things. I think the transport thing just crashed. I think he had certain goods. I don't know if they were perishable or they had a certain time limit. They went bad, and he lost almost all his money. Yeah, because he went back to, as in his livelihood and his income and everything went down. He had to downscale, and from that experience, I think as much as I was not directly involved, it cautioned me, and I find myself being very cautious when it comes to spending money. It's very emotional. I wouldn't want to get to that point. Of course, most of the things were outside his control, but I find myself being very emotional in terms of how do I save, how much am I earning currently, how much in case anything happens, which we don't know, like COVID also was a tricky part. Yeah, you can see how emotions play around that part. And also the other thing you talked about, the bit of enough, how much is enough? Yeah, and sometimes even just asking yourself, as I think we had that coaching conversation, how much do you want? What is the what what would you say is the how much you want? Just a bit. No, no, no. Don't change that. Sorry. I'll say how much do you really want? And sometimes even the figure that we go for, if we do some really introspection, it is not the figure that we want. It is what has been dictated by the society, by our neighbors, by our friends, such that we want to go for this amount because that seems to be the amount that makes you maybe be a certain status. But more or less, you just need to ask yourself, how much do I spend on a day-to-day basis in a month? What are my expenses? School fees, food, rent, stuff, and maybe a certain percentage to save, and that would be enough for you. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. In the WhatsApp group, I've given you a link that you can join us backstage where we are at, so that you can ask your question live, or you can contribute. What was your contribution in terms of what were your insights when you are going through the book? So at this point, let me just go through what I had put as part of the presentation. And yeah, I think I've talked about these three things. So there's this video which is basically a summary of the book. We can just watch it, and then after that I'll be able to respond to any questions or comments as we proceed.
When we think about money, we're taught to focus on all the hard stuff, right? The formulas, the data, the spreadsheets. But what if that's all kind of wrong? Because the truth is, financial success has way less to do with how smart you are and almost everything to do with how you behave. So let me just ask you this. What if all the market analysis, all the complex financial models, what if they aren't actually the key to building real wealth at all? And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. See, financial success isn't really a hard science, it's a soft skill. A total genius who loses control of their emotions, they can be a complete financial disaster. But an ordinary person can become incredibly wealthy just by mastering a few simple behaviors. Okay, so to really see this in action, let's look at one of the most unbelievable stories in modern finance. It's the story of a simple janitor and a Harvard educated executive. I mean, this comparison says it all, right? On one side, you've got Ronald Reed. He was a janitor and a gas station attendant. His whole strategy was just simple. He saved what little he could and patiently put it in blue chip stocks for decades. And on the other side, Richard Fuscone, a top Merrill Lynch exec with a Harvard MBA. He borrowed a ton of money, lived this huge lifestyle, and then got completely wiped out in the 2008 financial crisis. Ronald Reed died a philanthropist with $8 million. Fuscone declared bankruptcy. And that's what's so wild about this. I mean, think about it. In what other field can someone with zero training, no fancy education, no connections whatsoever outperform someone with the best credentials on the planet? It only really happens in investing. And that's because your behavior is just so much more powerful than a fancy degree. All right, so if our behavior is the key ingredient, where does it even come from? Well, it mostly comes from our own unique personal experiences with money. And that leads to this really profound idea. No one is crazy with their money. They're just playing a different game, a game that's been shaped by a totally different reality. Just take a look at this chart. If you were born in, say, 1970, the stock market went up tenfold during your teens and 20s. The lesson you learned: stocks are an incredible way to build wealth. But what if you were born in 1950? Well, for that same period of your life, the market went absolutely nowhere. The lesson you learned: stocks are a great way to lose your shirt. It's the same exact market, but two completely different, deeply held beliefs. And that right there is why we all seem totally nuts to each other when it comes to money. Your entire financial logic is built on this tiny little sliver of personal history that feels like the absolute undeniable truth. So, to someone with a different history, your obvious decisions can look completely reckless. But to you, they make perfect sense. But it's not just what's going on in our heads. There are these huge external forces that we almost always ignore. Two sides of the same powerful coin: luck and risk. Think of luck and risk like they're siblings. They're a constant reminder that the world is just way too complex for 100% of your actions to dictate 100% of your outcomes. We love to focus on our own effort, but honestly, these unseen forces can have a much, much bigger impact. Let's take Bill Gates, for example. We all know he was a brilliant, super driven teenager, but he also had this incredible one in a million stroke of luck. Back in 1968, he happened to go to Lakeside School, one of the only high schools in the entire world that had a computer. As Gates himself said, if there had been no Lakeside, there would have been no Microsoft. But here's the thing: for every story of incredible luck, there's a flip side. Gates had a best friend at Lakeside named Kent Evans. He was just as smart, just as ambitious, and just as good with computers. They were planning to start a company together. But Kent was hit by one in a million risk. He died in a mountaineering accident before he even graduated high school. Same force, same magnitude, just pointed in the opposite direction. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that when we judge success or failure, whether it's our own or somebody else's, we have to remember that nothing is ever as good or as bad as it looks on the surface. We have to leave room for the wild, totally unpredictable roles that luck and risk play in everyone's story. Okay, so this brings us to the real secret sauce, the heart of the strategy. If we can't control luck and risk, what can we control? The answer is survival. Just staying in the game long enough for the odds to eventually tip in your favor. That is the single most important financial skill there is. Just look at this number. It is absolutely mind-blowing. Of Warren Buffett's insane $84.5 billion net worth, over 95% of it, that's $81.5 billion, came after he turned 65. This isn't just about being a good investor. It's about the unbelievable power of compounding interest over a very, very long time. And that right there is the real secret. Yeah, of course, Buffett is a brilliant investor, but his true superpower is that he's been a brilliant investor for 3/4 of a century. He started when he was 10 years old. It's his longevity that allowed compounding to work its magic. His secret isn't just picking stocks, it's time. So, how do you actually do that? How do you stay in the game long enough? You have to realize that getting money and keeping money are two totally different skills. Getting wealthy, that takes optimism and taking some risks. But staying wealthy, that takes the opposite. It takes a little bit of fear, some humility, and the paranoia to know that everything you've gained can be taken away just as fast. There's this legendary trader, Jesse Livermore, who is basically the poster child for this. He was a genius at getting rich. He made the equivalent of $3 billion in one day during the 1929 crash. But he was terrible at staying rich. He got overconfident, took bigger and bigger risks, and eventually lost it all. His story is the ultimate warning against feeling like you're invincible. So, what can we actually do with this information? Well, it kind of boils down to three key things. First, just aim to be financially unbreakable. That way you can survive the downturns that are definitely going to happen. Second, plan for your plan to not go according to plan. Build in a margin of safety. And third, try to be a paranoid optimist. That means you're optimistic that things will work out in the long run, but you're paranoid enough to know that the road there is full of landmines. And this all brings us to the final and honestly the most important question of all. What's the point of this? Why even bother building wealth in the first place? It's not about the luxury cars or the big houses. The true value of money is something so much deeper than that. Psychologists have looked at this for decades, and guys like Angus Campbell, they all found the same thing. The single biggest factor in human happiness is having a strong sense of control over your own life. It's more important than your salary, your job title, or the house you live in. And that feeling of control, well, that's just another word for freedom. It's the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That, right there, is the highest dividend money can ever pay. So let's be really clear about this. Forget all the fancy stuff. The real goal, the ultimate purpose of building wealth, is to buy back your time, to get your autonomy back, to have options. Using your money to build a life where you are in the driver's seat, that is the most valuable thing it will ever do for you. And that leaves us with one final thing to think about. If money's greatest power is to give you control over your time, what would you do with it? What does a life lived truly on your own terms actually look like for you?
If you
Yeah, fantastic. I think that summarizes it all. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share some of my key ideas and insight that I got from the book. I'll be happy to see any questions that you might have. Post them in the comment, or if you want us to join us live on Backstage and ask the question live, I have also posted the link in the description or in the comments. Yeah, so join in. Thank you very much. I can see Abdi Hussein, you're following through on LinkedIn. Rhoda, you have joined us. Thank you very much. Eric is Souza on LinkedIn. I think I'd already seen Liz and many more. Keep on commenting. Let me know where you're joining us from and what your key takeaway is as we proceed. So I'll do this quickly and then we can call it a day. So when it comes to money, number one, money is emotional. I think we have mentioned something to do with that. People don't make financial decisions on spreadsheet. They make them at the dinner table. When you're talking to your friends and you decide, I will buy this, I won't buy this, I will invest here, or how will I spend? And most of the time, fear, greed, and ego often drive choices more than logic. Once we have made the decision, is when we try to justify it by with logic. But I can tell you that is a big determining factor, especially fear. Most people are more willing to act to avoid a certain bad outcome than to act so that they can get a good outcome. So you fear you will lose money, you do that thing. Rather than if I do this, I will get more money. Of course, we have people who are greedy. And sorry to say, I think our politicians are a classic in terms of portraying greed. And my question is, how much can you really get for yourself? And of course, ego. They are one of the biggest driving factor. The second idea is about wealth is not what you see. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. So forget about what people have. Rich is not equal to flashy spending, and true wealth is hidden. It is not seen. It is what comes into your savings. Do you have some savings? Do you have an emergency fund in case anything happens to you, to your job, to like the way COVID threw most of the things upside down? Would you be able to survive a month or 6 months or a year? Wealth is an investment where you put money and it gives you some interest. You earn interest out of it. And also, wealth is in freedom. There's someone who might not be earning a lot of money, but the fact that they have freedom to move around, to do things they want, to do, be where they want to be with the people they want to be. You'll find some people, especially in corporate, who they earn a lot of money, yes, but stay in rooms in meetings with people they don't want to be in, or they're just pissed off with. And to me, that is not true wealth. Number three, the power of compounding effect. I think last year when we went through the book, the compound effect, it was so, I think, very visual to see how much this compounding effect has. And their idea is small, consistent actions done consistently over time, they will have exponential results. Like saving $1 a day, saving 20 shillings per day. Yeah, it might look very small, but if you do that consistently, 1 year, 2 years, and you put it somewhere, maybe it is also earning interest, you will be surprised how much you can save in 3 years or so. Time is the most powerful financial tool. I think we need to catch ourselves, especially when we want to get quick, rich quick. Would want to see things happening really quickly. Um, when I was a teenager, I used to really look up to my uncle, and I think my uncle, of course, they were more wealthy than us. They had more money, they had more cars, they had so many other things compared to us. And I was like, I wish I would get there. I wish we would be like them. But then, as I grew older, I realized that it did not come overnight. It was a result of time and compounding interest and investing and doing things, being patient and consistently doing the right thing. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how much money it is, but you will realize that time is a very powerful tool when it comes to finance. And I think there was an example both from Linda and the video that we have watched that Warren Buffett's fortune, most of it, 81.5 billion, came after age 60. And he started this way when he was a teenager. And probably at his 40, you would think that he would not amount to anything. But most of it came after age 60. So time is the most powerful financial tool. Don't give up. Stay in there long enough and see the power of the compound interest. The other idea, Linda also alluded to it, was enough. What is enough? Knowing what you have when you have enough prevents reckless risk. And this again cuts down on the idea of greed. What is enough for you? And you will be surprised. What is enough for you is not what is enough for me. And it's not what is enough for someone else. And there's nothing wrong with if my enough is 100, yours is 200, and the other person enough is 300, may it be thousands or millions or billions. It doesn't matter. The figure itself, 10, 50, it is what is comfortable with you. Is it allowing you to live the life that you want? Remember, one of the other ideas we'll talk about is freedom. Are you able to pay your bills? Because some people will have a very big figure, what is enough for them, mainly driven by greed, but they have sleepless nights. Yeah. So, what is enough for you? When you know what is enough, it prevents you from getting into reckless risk. Comparison is the enemy of contentment. Yeah. And I think I saw another quote someone talking about also comparison is the enemy of happiness. The Bible says, godliness and contentment is great gain. And that bit of contentment, you are happy with what you have. Don't always compare with what is the other person. What do they have? I previously listened to a certain podcast and they had talked about, of course, people were working in an organization, everybody was happy with how much they got, they were being paid. Then there was a payroll leak. And then you realize the person that you work with, probably who actually they report to you, they earn more than you. It became it was just another big can I say scandal, or things were hectic at that company when you just realize that someone who's earning more than you, or you do the same task, now you are bringing in this idea of comparison. You are like, but previously you're happy, you came to work and did your things well. I don't advocate for that, but however, social media has really taken it to the next level, because most of the things that we see on social media, people post when things are good, when they have gone to that fancy restaurant, when they have gone for a holiday, when they actually have seen a car on a car park and it's a flashy car and they take a photo with it and you think it is theirs. That comparison, and you're like, am I the only one who is just living this regular life, eating homemade food and never going for holiday or stuff? So You need to be careful about that. Comparison is the enemy of contentment. And when it comes to enough, think about balancing ambition with gratitude. One of the things that personally I believe that ambition is important. Ambition is priceless. Ambition, there's a song, is it Rick Ross, Wale, and who else? It's called Ambition. Say, ambition is priceless. It's something that is in my vein, and I doubt that will ever change. And for me, I live for being ambitious, but at the same time, creating that balance whereby you do not become so ambitious, you become so greedy, you go for what is out there and forget what you already have. Very important. Ambition, balancing it with gratitude. The other thing that stood out was the idea of luck and risk. Yeah. Success is 100% skill, but luck plays a very big role. When I read the book, what is the name of this book? The Outliers. And it actually, The Outlier talks about the story of Bill Gates and what has also been shared. That there is a lot that has to do with luck that plays part in it. How lucky is it that Bill Gates was in that school that was the only school that had a computer, and he was so much interested in computer that he ended up taking too much time learning about computers and making Microsoft. While in the same school, there was a friend who was equally interested in computer, but he ended up dying. Yeah, same conditions, but just one flip of a thing that changes the whole idea. But I also like what Richard Branson says, that the more I work hard, the more likely I become. You can't control luck, but it's better for you to work hard, and luck finds you well prepared. How good is it for you to have an opportunity showing up or luck showing up and you're not prepared? It's way better for you to always be prepared, and then an opportunity never shows up than the vice versa. So luck plays a very big part. We don't have control over that. Risk is avoidable, but resilience matters more than prediction. I think, especially when you're looking at investing, stock market, and the analogy about um, there's a period in time where the market will go way up, and if that finds you in your teenage, or let's say between your 30s and 40s, 20 and 30, you will be thinking stock market is the way to go. While the same situation when you're in your 50 and your 30, and then maybe the market is bad or things are going down, you will be like, this is the riskiest place to invest. Respect uncertainty. It happens. We do not have control over the future. Things go up, things go down. Always be optimistic, things will get better, but act as if things will go bad. And the last idea is about freedom. The highest dividend of money is equal to control over your time. Unfortunately, in the corporate world, most people are driven to go for the big titles. And the more they pay you, of course, as this, not necessarily the CEO, of course, the CEO, the director, the whatever, the more is demanded from you in terms of time, effort, energy, whereby you have a lot of money and you don't know where to spend it, when to spend it with your loved ones. So as you pursue more income, more money, know that the biggest dividend you can get from money is control over your time. And wealth is about independence, not luxury. How independent are you? Some practical applications. Save consistently, even if it is a small amount. I hope today you can make a decision and say, for the next year, or for the next 2 years, even 3 years, say, I will be putting this amount aside for a rainy day. I think it is it like 2 weeks ago when we were talking about personal finance, and we had our guest speaker, and I shared how I started my money market account or my emergency fund. And it was just a matter of being consistent over time, I think since 2019, then I was able to build enough that I was able to offload, was it last year, and gotten a much bigger asset that is I'm happy for. Another practical idea, focus on long-term, not short-term wins. Yeah, the idea of, yeah, we might have these short terms which are sometimes very enticing, but remember also they have very great risk, but long-term is better. Avoid lifestyle inflation. You know, some people, they earn a certain amount. You just increase their salary by 10,000, 5,000, or a certain percentage of their salary, and they change their lifestyle overnight. But if you can avoid that, and sometimes if you're living a good life and use that extra income just for saving for a rainy day, it will give you much better returns than just changing your lifestyle. And finally, build financial habits that align with your values. I really get disappointed when someone says, one of my values is family. But when you look at their financial habit, it has nothing to do with family. He's not spending the money or the time with his family. Identify what are your own personal values and then align your financial habits with that. So I have a few questions that I will share with you. I'll post these questions also in the WhatsApp group for you to think about. What money habits have shaped your current financial reality? Yeah, I'll be happy to hear some of you. By the way, if you would want to answer any of these questions and just have a conversation for about 5 minutes, I'll put the link in our WhatsApp community group, the book club, or check in the comments where you can join me backstage here and we can just have a conversation around one of these questions. One, what money habit have shaped your current financial reality? Number two, how do emotion influence your decisions? Have you ever considered how emotions influence your financial decisions? Or do you think you're just that very logical person when it comes to money? How does enough look like for you personally? Have you ever tried to sit down and define what enough is for you? How can you apply these principles of compounding effect in your career or finances? What do you see? Where do you see luck or risk playing a role in your journey? These are just questions for you to think, meditate upon them, and then they will give you some direction moving forward. And finally, let me bring this here. What would financial freedom mean in your life? If you have a minute or two, you can just even post a comment about any of these answers so that we can just have a conversation. I know this is different from when we were doing it on Google Meet, but it got to a point where we had more people joining us that the meeting room could hold. That is why we decided to be streaming it on LinkedIn, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And the good thing, if someone misses it, they can still come back. But let me see if I can get any of your comments in any of these questions. But don't worry, I'll share them also on our WhatsApp community. So at this point, any questions so far? Are we good? Give me some thumbs up before I go to the next thing in our presentation. Here are the questions. Are we good? Give me some thumbs up or give me some feedback that you are good. You're following through. You can hear and things are working out, yeah? I'll take a few minutes break as I would want to read your comments. Drop in your comments, yeah? How far, what have you learned so far? What is your key takeaway? Oh, I can just go back and see Abdi's there. What is your key takeaway so far, Abdi? You're on LinkedIn. Rhoda, great to see you again here. What have you learned today? Eric, I'll be happy to know. Lizzie, Elaine, what have you taken so far? Sergeant Vincent, Ronnie, what have you gotten so far? Probably there's a delay. That is my assumption. But anyway, as you post in, then we can conclude and I can go to the next part of this presentation. First is to say thank you everyone who is part of the Career Ascent Club. Now, if you just bumped into this streaming or somebody shared with you, I would want to welcome you to join our Ascent Career Club. In this club, we do help you in terms of your career strategy and how you can position yourself. Some of the benefits you get is you get to understand your career and position your career for relevance and growth. We help you do some coaching so that you can be able to get some clarity when it comes to your career and your next strategic move. We help you strengthen your leadership and executive presence, because we believe as you get this kind of skills, you are able to make more or better moves in your career. We help you modernizing your CV, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile. We help you build a ready skill in leadership, management, soft skills, and AI. And we prepare you to be very confident in terms of when you want to go for senior leadership roles. How do you get them to it? The good thing is with the Career Club, you are able to get one-on-one coaching, professional CV writing, LinkedIn profile guide, interview coaching, and you also get access to over 20 courses, short courses in management, leadership, growth, soft skills that you would need. So I'll be happy if you just bump into this. You can reach out if you want to join the Career Club. This is my number. Let me post it right there. Don't call me at night, but you can WhatsApp me at night or text me at night. I will respond the next day during the day. But if you want to call me directly, 07 or +254 732 20 97 95. Take a quick screenshot and get in touch with me for more information about the Career Ascent Club. We are considering these two books to be part of what we will be reading next month. So I will post a poll as I normally do tomorrow about the books. Would you want us to read Brian Tracy, Speak to Win, or Deep Work, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World by Cal Newport? I'll be happy to know which book you would want us to do next month. And yes, I'll post there and say financial success is more about behavior than knowledge. Share your insights in the community. Apply at least one principle this week. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next book club session once we decide which book we go for, which will be again on 4th April 2020. 4th March 2026. So I can see some of the comments that came in. Let me read them through and then we can be able to call it a day. Fantastic. Okay. I can see Lizzie, you're saying financial discipline will be key to getting financial freedom. Fantastic. That was great. Yeah, I knew there was some. And I can see some yellow hearts you had put there. Faith, thank you very much. Mercy, hope you have gotten something. Wealth buys you the freedom to manage your own time. I think that is a very big realization. Money and time, money and freedom. I think that is where most people get confused. They think money is about the cars, the houses, the holidays, and all that. But when you put money or wealth in terms of how much time can you buy for yourself, then you are on a winning strike. Yeah, Linda again coming back here saying my big takeaway out for the book is freedom means the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, as long as you want. And that is priceless. Fantastic. Great takeaway there. Financial discipline will be key to getting financial freedom? Yes, discipline plays a very big part. Thank you, Joyce. I can see you following through. Sajid, Vincent. The best dividend of being wealthy is freedom. Yeah. And I can see all the big thumbs up. Let me just read, I think, one more. My biggest takeaway is that money is emotional. Behavior matters a lot. Fantastic. When I get money, I immediately get emotional. Why? Oh, that's a very good question. Why is that so? Um, I might not exactly know why, but I will tell you this. It depends with how you relate with money. I know there is this statement that mostly Kenyans will talk about, tumia pesa ikuzoe. Yeah. And I will tell you this, if you have grown up where you did not have enough and you struggled, whenever you get money, you actually even feel a bit of some ego and some like, now I can talk in front of people just because you have some money. But it's up to you to interrogate what kind of emotions are we talking about? Is it excitement? Is it stress? There's some people, the moment they get money, they are stressed that they will spend it and they will not be able to get more money. Yeah. Just interrogate what kind of emotions are they? What are some of the misconceptions or beliefs that were inculcated to you when you're growing up as a kid, and then figure out a more healthier way to respond or to react to money. As we know, money is emotional, but do you want it to be the bad emotions that take you down, depressed, or something that actually enlightens you or makes you feel that you are able to do more? So that's a good question. Thank you, Rizak. Since having money is emotional, the only way I cope is to have a budget every month of what to spend the money on. Thank you. Wealth Wave. Yeah, you bring it in. I think our host, our guest speaker the other day when we were talking about uh, personal finance, yeah, he mentioned that about having a budget. And the best definition I've ever gotten about is a budget is telling your money where to go rather than waiting at the end of the month to ask yourself, money go? Yeah. Take control, tell it where to go, not ask yourself, where did it go? And I can see Cecily, you're joining us and saying, my takeaway, don't change your lifestyle just because you got a salary increase. We can have too much money, but still lose it. So yeah, the idea of risk and luck, you need to be prudent with how you spend it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think that has been our time. I'm looking forward to seeing you. By the way, we have some more events coming up. Let me just share this. So for those of you who are members of the Ascent Club, you have access to Ascent platform. And just to bring to your attention some of the sessions that will be coming up, if you log in, so if I log in with my account here, we have a few updates. Number one, the cost of the month. Just right on your dashboard, when you log in, you will see cost of the month. We have decided to go through together the course AI Made Simple. And this is how you can stay relevant and productive at work. AI has come in with so many things, but there are certain small things that you can use to be more productive at work, and how you can use free AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, without being a coder and all that. That is what this course is all about. So let's go through it together. And if you're not part of Ascent, as I said, reach out to me. Let me put my number again right here. Call me. We can discuss how you can be able to. Not that one, sorry. Where did my number go to? Yeah, that's my number. Take a quick screenshot. +2547322209795. Then the other thing I would also want to mention, just on the dashboard, if you scroll down, yes, today is when we are having our career club, dating about the book, The Psychology of Money. Then on Thursday next week, we will have an open UN job competency coaching session. I'll be inviting most of you or some of you to join me to be part of this group coaching session where we'll be doing a live conversation with you. So if you're interested, side chat me. This will not be streamed on YouTube. This one will be done on Google Meet. It will not be recorded, and it is because we want to preserve people's privacy. So join in, enjoy the conversation, be coached live, and take the insight. On 19th of this month, it will be Thursday, then the other week, we'll have a guest speaker, Mercy Macau, who will be coming to share with us how we can use AI in career development. And I think that will really work very well with the current course that we are going through together, AI Made Simple. So you can see more and more goodies if you opt in to join the Ascent Career Club. Otherwise, that has been my time. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you showing up. Oh, there's a question here. How does one identify their money personality? There are several, I think there's some online personality tests, but some of them you will need to pay. Side chat me because you have my number. I can find credible, free tools that you can use, and then we can talk more. Is that okay? Fantastic, Vincent. Wamud, thank you for following through. Sign up. Until next time, boom, I'm out. I'll see you next week on Thursday.